forward to the cloud.
Very good. Thank you.
And I'll also manage the waiting room.
Thank you so much. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 2022 Center City Residents Association Zoning Committee meeting. Do a quick introduction and then we'll get started. We have 3 cases this evening. As a word of introduction, as you all may know, CCRA is the registered community organization for the area bounded by South Street, north to JFK Boulevard, and Broad Street, west to the Schuylkill River. Tonight, our meeting will go as follows. First, the applicants will present their cases. Second, I'll run through our zoning committee members to see if they have questions. Then I'll open it up to the public for asking questions. Please, if you could, it would be helpful to me if you wish to speak to use the Zoom and put your name and address in Zoom. Ben Zuckerman, our secretary, will be also watching for that so that he can make sure that he records your presence. After we hear from everyone, we will vote to either oppose, not oppose, or not oppose with provisos. We never vote in favor of an application, and we will send our decision to the district council person, the zoning board of adjustment, and back to the applicant. No matter how we decide, if you're concerned about a project, we strongly recommend that you attend the ZBA hearing. Okay, we can start with our first case. It's 1529 South Street. This is a referral, and I'll give the comm over to Richard DeMarco.
Good evening, everybody. Hi, Janice. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes. Great. So this is a, I'll put, and I have share screen ability.
The second you will.
Okay, fine.
You got it now.
I'll do my intro first. This is a referral matter from L&I. It's a special exception rather than a variance case. This is a tattoo parlor for 1529 South Street proposed. We don't seek variance relief, but we need a special exception from the zoning board. And what that means is that the use is deemed to be a permitted use. However, the application is required to go to the zoning board to make a presentation that the use is not adverse greater than a similar use of the same type. I know that's legalese and a bit confusing, but that is what special exception legal burden is. So George Bobby and his partner Jerome are on the call. I'll introduce them in a moment. They are the proposed operators. Let me go ahead and show some of the documents. You can see here. Can you see my screen okay, Janice?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So here you see it's a referral and not a refusal. That's what I mean when I say that we're seeking a special exception and not a variance. And what that means is that the use is deemed to be permitted, but you must go to the zoning board to make sure there's nothing unusual going on with the application. Here, body art studio is the technical term, and there's the referral reason. This is my application for the field, which you have to share with anybody. On it.
Richard, you're occasionally you're cutting out, just so if you could perhaps remain close to the microphone.
Gotcha. Sorry about that. Okay, so again, that's the appeal form. Just let me know if you want a copy. Happy to share it. This is the storefront. Not in the greatest condition. My clients will clean it up. Matter of fact, Mr. Bobby, as you'll see from some of the photos here, did paint the interior of the opening there just to make it look better. He understands that he still needs to get the zoning, but all he did was attach a new coat of paint to the front, make it look better. Well, that's another photo. I'm moving a little too fast, so it's not loading.
You could.
That's the bathroom.
Zoom out a little bit. I think that might help us see all the images.
Sure.
If it's.
Sure.
Thank you. There you go.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you. So Mr. Bobby did, and he'll verify this when he speaks in a moment, he did go door to door to the neighboring businesses and residents and get signatures. And you'll note that a lot of the people on the neighboring blocks did sign his petition. We have 2 pages, about 2.5 pages. We would ask you to consider that. No one really objected to the use. As you all know, South Street's a very eclectic area. Tattoo parlors are certainly, let's just say, you have some of them on the other side of Broad, and there's another one. Mr. Bobby didn't know, but there's another one on the 1700 block. But there's high demand for this use. As you all know, they're very popular right now. So this is a photo. These are photos sent by George of the other tattoo parlor where he was the manager. And I want to tell you that George and his partner Jerome have a combined 30 years of experience in tattoo parlor operation. And this is what you can expect the interior. If he gets the zoning, this is what the interior will look like. They plan on making it a nice operation. And that's typically what the interior will look like. That's the other tattoo parlor that George worked with. This is a rudimentary floor plan. L&I does not require a full site plan for a use change. This is a layout of what he deems the interior to be. 3 chairs, you see a waiting area. I did send the required notices pursuant to the zoning code notice requirements to neighboring residents. This is our list of addresses, and the certificates are at the end here. Mailing. Guys, that's really it. I mean, we're happy. I will say this as well. There will be, the use does generate some office trash, which is insignificant, but it does generate some bio waste, which there will be, assuming we get approved, there will be a professional hauler which will come and pick up that trash. And we did speak to, had a nice conversation with one of your other RCOs in the area. He suggested, and he offered very kindly, a receptacle, which is a smoke inhaling receptacle, because sometimes people smoke on the street, and we would be happy to consider that and utilize that. As far as, and let me do that. Let me do this. Let me introduce George and Jerome. George, why don't you speak briefly about what you want to do here? Just why don't you verify the petition, and then happy to answer questions and go from there.
Okay. Hi, my name is George Bobet. This is Jerome Gunn. Hello. And like Richard said, we're trying to open a tattoo shop at the location.
Did you take that petition around, George? Were you the one that circulated that petition?
Me and Jerome are the ones who walked around the neighborhood on several days and talked to everyone explaining the petition and why we needed the petition. And no one seemed...
People were very excited to approach us, especially once we mentioned tattoos. Both of our neighbors seem pretty excited for us to be there. There's a music store next door, and there's a hair salon next door as well. And their employees, as well as their owners, seem to be excited about the business that we can bring to the neighborhood. Our clients like to eat. There's plenty of restaurants in the neighborhood, so we'll be sending them to spread the money around.
And why don't you just briefly, and then we'll turn it over to questions to Janice, but why don't you tell the members of the RCO your experience with tattoo artistry and management?
I've been tattooing since 2004. I went through a full 3-year apprenticeship at JR's Tattoo in West Philadelphia. I've been at several shops. I can go back to every one of them. And I'm very passionate about this business, and I would like to reach out to a good clientele and have a permanent home for us to do our art that we are so passionate about.
You have an area to store trash in the basement, and if you get approved, you're going to be utilizing proper professional waste pickup, right?
Oh, yes, cleanliness and this proper disposal is very important to us. We have families that we need to go home to, and our customers have families they need to go home to. We like to keep them safe.
Okay, Janice, that's all I have.
All right. I'll start off with members of the committee. Let's start with Ben Z.
Yeah, one question. What COVID precautions will you be taking?
It will be appointment only. Walk-ins will just be walking in to make an appointment. Masks are required. And anything that the city is requiring us to do, we are on board with.
Are you going to require proofs of vaccination, or is the city not requiring that in an institution like this?
If the city requires it, we'll deem it necessary.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Dog M. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'll take the liberty of here. We don't have a lot of members here tonight. I'd like to have whoever has questions, please let me know in the chat or speak now.
No questions, Janice.
Thank you, Doug. Evan, Jacob, Robin, or Veronica? Oh, Steve, I didn't see you there.
I would just ask if can you tell us about the presence of other tattoo parlors in this area? What is your competition, so to speak?
What is our competition?
Only one, right? Right, George?
It's the one that's on 17th. It's owned by Troy Temple.
They weren't aware of it either.
I wasn't first aware of it when we found the location, but when I was walking doing the petitions, I found the location. I don't really think that we would interfere with his business at all. If anything, it just bring the spirit of competition brings it up more, but I don't think it'll interfere with his business at all.
Okay, thank you.
And Janice, this is Steve. I have one question.
Hi, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah. Could you tell us what the front of the store is going to look like? What you'll have in the windows and what kind of signage you're planning? Yeah, if you could pause it there. Yeah, actually, yeah, that view. Yeah, so you have a very old-fashioned window arrangement so people can go in and sort of see the merchandise of a store. Haven't seen that in a while, but what do you plan to have in those windows? What kind of sign are you going to have? What are you going to do with the blue area above the front door?
The blue area, we're going to repaint it a similar blue, and then we're going to hang a hand-painted sign in front. As to the windows, we're going to fill them with a whole bunch of artwork and a whole bunch of like t-shirts and apparel that you can purchase and stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to ask a question about this application? Marcus Ferreira. Tell us repeat your name and address, please, for the record.
Sure. Marcus Ferreira, 1620 South Street, Philadelphia. And I'm chair of the South Street West Business Association. And so we're a sister RCO in this application. So we, I've raised this with our board, and then we also had our general membership meeting today. And I wanted to confirm that the membership is supportive of this application, especially with the reassurances that I received from Mr. DeMarco about this is like a high quality operator, and then also seeing the presentation myself, I'm reassured. Yes, there's the Floating World tattoo parlor on the 1700 block of South, and they have a very upstanding business model, and we'd like to see that replicated here. One thought we had was, if this special exemption is granted, it seems like this operator is really up and up. I think it would behoove the corridor to request that the exemption only be to this operator, so that if it's an existing non-conforming use, it shouldn't be extended to, you know, the next operator that comes in that says, oh, we're going to operate a tattoo shop. I would like to have this vetting process happen again in that eventuality. But, you know, if this operator keeps on renewing their lease, then great. You know, I feel good about that. Also, I feel good about the signage, the fact that they said that they're going to dispose of cigarette butts, potentially using a TerraCycle receptacle that we've been furnishing with various businesses on the corridor with. So I think that's all good stuff. I also raised the possibility of getting a street tree planted up front, but I understand that that's, you know, going to require the owner of the building to sign off on, and I'm not sure what the operators feel about that. Another, just a suggestion would be for the signage is to use a perpendicular blade sign so that pedestrians on the near side of the street can actually see. We find that if you just do a flat sign, you're communicating with the opposite side, but not the near side, and also gives a nice 3D effect. So that's just a suggestion.
It's a great suggestion.
Okay.
And Richard, if your client is willing to abide by that proviso, you can let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's certainly not going to be any objection to tying the exception to these operators. That's fine. And I'm not sure how the board will handle it, but I could certainly say that I don't personally have a problem with it. As you know, George and Jerome, just so you guys understand, they're saying that the decision would be tied to your lease.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? You don't, that doesn't bother you. Okay.
No,
So,
no, not at all. I actually,
Right.
I actually think that that's the best thing to go about it. Like if we were to leave and another tattoo shop want to take over, they should go through the same process. I agree.
right. I agreed. So we agree to that. How the zoning board will handle that, though, Marcus and Janice, I can't say, but we will agree on the record to that.
Sure.
Right. So
All right.
okay, and happy to do the trash receptacle, and we'll certainly consider the sign. I saw Jerome nodding at that suggestion. So if it doesn't violate the code, we will do it. Right? Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We don't want to run into another variance.
I understand with this sign.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we will incorporate your suggestion, Marcus, assuming you don't run afoul of the.
Yeah, I think it's as long as it's 3 feet or less in diameter. It's like I think you have to run it through the art commission. And if it's a smallish sign, there's no problems. We have a bunch of them on the 1600 block, Miles Table, Founding Fathers, and a bunch of them have it. So it's fairly, it shouldn't, as long as you make it modest in size and you have the lighting downwardly directed, you shouldn't run into any trouble.
Okay.
Okay.
Ben Z, if you have something?
Yeah, just a thought about that. I know that there are restrictions and conditions that apply to projecting blade signs from buildings rather than flat signs on the exterior. So you better double check that as to what those requirements are.
I definitely will.
All right, I want to thank you for your presentation. We will be back to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Janice. Good to see everybody. Take care now.
Great.
Thank you. Bye now.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Next case is 1430 Walnut Street. It's zone CMX 5. The reason for refusal is there is a proposed sign that is allowed to be 25 feet 7 above the street and is proposed to be 60 feet 2 inches above the street. I believe Stephanie Boggs from Claire Harrison is here to be presenting it.
Yes, I am. Thank you. And we have members of our team joining us as well. Rocco Gaskins from Abco Signs, as well as representatives from Compass for the applicants here. We had some technical difficulties getting into the meeting, but thank you for helping us. I think we're all here now. If I can share my screen, I'll go through our presentation.
You are all set. Take it
Thank
away.
you. So as Janice said, we are requesting approval here for an accessory sign. Compass is excited to be relocating their Philadelphia regional office to the building at 1430 Walnut Street. It will become the principal office in the Philadelphia region for Compass. It will kind of serve as a hub for brokers, about 200 agents in Center City, as well as facilitate in-person closings. So we'll have visitors and guests come to the building for that as well. In-person closings in Philadelphia are still occurring, they're still required. So there will be a decent amount of foot traffic, not only with the employees and the agents with Compass, but also with visitors and clients as well. So they are excited to be at this particular location. They are requesting approval for an accessory sign to identify their location in the building, as well as to provide a means for wayfinding. The employees will get familiar with the location of the building, but as some of you may be aware, this building has a unique layout and a unique design that facilitates a little bit of extra help. So we are requesting approval for a sign at the 3rd floor, which will replace the previous tenant sign. So as some of you may be aware, this was the former location of WeWork in Center City, Philadelphia. They vacated the premises some time ago, and Compass is going to take over their tenant space at the 2nd and 3rd floor of this building and add an anchor tenant to the building in a space that's currently vacant. So, just to familiarize us with where we are, the building is at the corner of 15th and Walnut Street. Let's see. Here's an overview of the building and different signs that are there. Verizon, this is a mixed use, multi-tenant building. There's a Verizon retail space at the ground floor. This is a picture along Walnut Street. And you can see we have, entrances to the Verizon store on Walnut Street, as well as entrances on 15th Street. Cheesecake Factory occupies a portion of the 2nd floor, and what was formerly WeWork was at the 3rd floor. And the 2nd and 3rd floor here is where Compass will be taking over their space. So there's multiple entrances, multiple ID signs on not only the ground floor, but the upper floors of the building as well. And the primary entrance for every tenant in the building, besides visitors to the Verizon space, is through this entrance on 15th Street. It has one elevator bay there, one staircase kind of shared, and that provides access to the basement, in the 2nd floor and the 3rd floor. So this is where people will enter, primarily coming down 15th Street or along Walnut Street. So we wanted to be able to have some view of the building to identify that Compass is in the building. And then there will be a sign that's under a separate application because it's permitted by right that will replace what is this WeWork sign shown here. So here's a more current photograph of the building. As you're coming down 15th Street, you can see the Verizon sign along the ground floor level where their spaces are. The Cheesecake Factory has a sign at the 2nd floor, and this currently vacant box at the top, which is where the WeWork sign was, is where this sign is being proposed here in this space at the top of the building. So we're within CMX5. So here's the sign that's being proposed. It's essentially a change in copy from what was there before with WeWork. The dimensions are slightly different, but it is compliant with the dimensional standards other than the height of the sign within CMX5. So again, the variance and the reason for the refusal is to have this sign at the 3rd floor. We have, it's somewhat unique building, as I said, because you have wall signs and ID signs for each tenant at each floor where they're located, which is, again, is going to be consistent with what was there before. So we have details on the signs, and we do have members from Compass here, as well as from Abco Signs, who can kind of explain a little bit more if there's any questions. And I'm happy to answer any as well.
I think it would help our committee and avoid a lot of questions about the sign itself. If a summary of the sign type, illumination, whether or not it blinks, brightness, just a general description of that sign.
Sure. I'll turn that over to Rocco, who's from our APCO Signs, the sign company, to answer those questions for you.
Thank you.
I'm having problems with my computer this evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, Rocco.
Sorry, I'm getting a bad echo. Yeah, the sign that you're looking at here would be individual illuminated channel letters on a panel. The panel is designed to hide all the old holes and flaws from the previous WeWork sign. The power supplies would be inside the building. There'll be all the voltage wiring going through. Basically, very similar to the Cheesecake Factory sign.
Does it change color?
No, it does not.
Thank you. Okay, let's go then. Members of the committee, who would like to ask the first question?
I'd like to know what the hardship is, because you're asking for a bigger sign, but they're actually giving you 25 feet 7 inches.
So we're not asking for a refusal for the size of the sign. We're asking for approval for the height of the sign to be at the 3rd floor of the building here. As some back history, so when WeWork and when this building was built and then WeWork kind of took the space, WeWork received a variance approval to put a sign here on the 3rd floor. Because of that design of this particular building, the layout of the tenant space, the Cheesecake Factory was granted a similar variance to have a sign above the 2nd floor windowsill. So was WeWork previously. It's to facilitate not only identifications of the different tenants within the building, given the unique design of the building, but also to encourage wayfinding. As I said, so this primary frontage of the building along Walnut Street, there is not an entrance to tenant spaces, but we certainly want to identify the tenants that are in this building to encourage and direct traffic to where the entrance actually is along 15th Street. There is a compliant sign, compliant with the code along 15th Street that will specifically identify the entrance to this tenant space. This sign is being proposed to replace what was previously approved for WeWork to encourage that wayfinding and the identification along Walnut Street specifically.
Okay, thank you. I'm looking for the next raised hand, pardon me.
I think the next raised hand is Ben Zuckerman.
Thank you.
Just so that we are clear, the issue here is the height of the top of the sign. Is that correct?
That's correct. So in CMX5 and in the Center City Overlay District, the maximum height of any wall sign on a building is permitted to be the top of the 2nd floor windowsill, which would be at the top floor, like the top of where the Verizon space is. So there wouldn't be any signage permitted by right here above that windowsill. So obviously you have Cheesecake Factory sign here at the 2nd floor windowsill that would have required a similar variance. The WeWork sign required a similar variance previously, and we're simply seeking to replace copy of what was on the WeWork sign. As I said, the dimensions of this sign are slightly different, but the only refusal we're requesting approval for is the height of this sign to be at the 3rd floor.
Okay, thank you.
Which again is where Compass's offices are going to be. So the back of the 2nd floor and 3rd floor is where Compass is taking over what was formerly the WeWork site.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the committee? Hearing none, is there anyone from the public who is here to speak about this sign? Well, Stephanie, thank you and your group for the presentation. I know you weren't here for the introduction. We will be sending our decision to the councilperson, ZBA, and applicant. And as you know, we don't approve of things. We decide whether we're going to oppose or not oppose, but we'll be back in touch with you.
Absolutely. And if there's any questions that come up before our ZBA hearing, we do have a few weeks, so please feel free to reach out to me. We'll be happy to answer those questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our last case is 407 South 20th Street. Site is zone CMX 1, BWRM1, which means I'm not sure, is it zoned 2 zoning classifications, Ben?
What that means is it's bordering with an RM1
Oh.
district.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Yes,
I'll let you take over all the
sure.
highly technical things in a minute. I just need to read the refusal. Lot line for 2 dwelling, it's a lot area. The refusal is for lot area for 2 dwelling units, whereas a minimum of 360 square feet of lot area is required per dwelling unit for the first 1,440 square feet of lot area. This project would propose instead of 720 feet for 2 units, it's 643 square feet for 2 units. And Harry, go ahead and take it away.
Great, thank you so much. Janice, yes, this is a refusal for a 2-unit residential dwelling. The location, I'm going to share my screen. And go over to the zoning. As discussed, this area, this is a subject property and highlighted in blue. It is a CMX1 zoning district adjacent, bordering with RM1. So it can be by right multifamily. The refusal here is because we are 77 square feet short on our lot area. So if the lot were 77 square feet bigger, it would be a by right over the counter permit for the 2-unit dwelling. This property, you can see it here, previously was an architect's office on the first floor, and prior to that, a beauty shop for many years. The size of it, the location of it, we do not believe it is viable as a commercial property. We also are taking into consideration the de minimis aspect of the dimensional issue related to the use refusal. So I have my client here, Sharif Yusuf, who purchased the property last year. Here's a copy of the refusal. Again, we're talking about a 77 square foot difference between a by right permit issuance and a refusal. Plans are not required for a use change. Mr. Yusuf drew up a floor plan for review. I'm going to just make that a little bigger. So on the first floor, you come in, there's a large area here, kitchen, bathroom, hallway, bedroom in the rear, and the rear has outdoor space as well. And we're going to get to see that in the beautiful photos of this gorgeous structure. The second floor, by the way, it's a 1-bedroom on the first floor. And it was marketed as a 2-unit to Mr. Yusuf. When he purchased it, he has done no changes to the interior. So when you see the kitchens on the first floor, that's how he came to it and how he purchased it. Apartment 2 on the second floor, kitchen, has an outdoor deck, living room, stairs to the 3rd floor, brings you to the 2 bedrooms, first bedroom here, second bedroom, and a bathroom. The basement has mechanicals and utilities in it. And it's pretty, nice layout, large property considering the lot size. And here is a street image that was on the MLS listing when he came to the property. The front door, the Bilco, the rear outdoor area for the first floor unit. First floor kitchen. Looking at the Formica countertops, it looks to be at least 20 years old, along with the lighting that's there, the track lighting. Here is the first floor bathroom. See where we are here. Yes, that is the first floor bathroom. First floor bedroom. Another picture of the first floor kitchen. Here is a second floor apartment kitchen. Second floor living area. Bedroom. Second bedroom. Bathroom. Stairwell up. Down to the basement. Basement. Gas meters. Utility. Hot water heater. Boiler. Wide shot of the basement. Property's in very good condition. And here is the deed to my client from Benjamin Puchowitz to Sharif Youssef. We, again, are proposing to just transition into residential use on the first floor. This is the notice we sent out on December 17th. Included information about tonight's hearing, about the ZBA hearing, district councilperson's office, and the CCRA contact information. And we sent that to the following addresses provided by the Planning Commission. Here is our PIF and appeal. Another copy of the refusal. Here is our PIF.
So here we can, I can confirm that those materials are what we reviewed. You don't just scroll through them, and we thank
Wonderful.
you for being so complete.
Proof of mailing.
Thank you so much.
And my client is here tonight. If anyone has a question for him, Sharif, could you unmute yourself?
Sure.
All right. We'll start with the committee. Are there any questions from members of the zoning committee? Dr. Benjamin. Benzie.
Yeah, you said the notices were mailed to neighbors. Have you received any objections from any neighbors?
We have not, and we wanted to circulate a petition, but Sharif has been recovering from COVID and was unable to do so prior to the meeting.
Okay, and one other question, just so I understand. He purchased this not that long ago, and these units were already there and existing?
That's correct. And when I was reviewing the photos from the appearance of the aesthetics that were used in those kitchens, they don't seem to be from the last 15 years.
So the
looking at the Formica.
The previous use was the same, there just was no zoning permit for it, is that correct?
That's correct. It was an illegal use. But for the 77 square feet of the lot size, it would be by right multifamily at that location.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the committee?
Yes,
Right.
I'd like to ask a question. Could you please remind us of the square footage of the first floor that you're looking to convert from commercial to residential?
Sharif, what's the square footage of the first floor unit?
I don't have the exact amount, but it's close to 500, not including the basement.
I could do because the plans that you have there don't have the exact to scale, but it's between 500 and 600 square feet, I believe.
Yeah, and not including the backyard.
The outdoor space.
Yeah.
Or the basement,
Thank you.
right? Thank you.
I guess one thing I can add, I've spoken to the Historical Society just about the windows out front. So, pending any approval, I would work with them to kind of get that replaced as well, because it's pretty dated, the windows out front.
So you're
We
planning
do
to
want to
renovate-
stay consistent with the historic nature of the building and
Exactly.
keep that aesthetic in line.
Right.
Are you planning to renovate the entire building?
No, just the unit that I plan on living in.
Mhm.
And then also, just changing the front exterior windows and the front door.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to ask a question about this application? Okay. Well, thank you very much, both of you, for coming and for your complete presentation. It's very much appreciated. We'll be back to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. I just have to check, make sure folks are out.